So this is the ASUS G15 Advantage and has two amazing things going for it. But before I talk about it, a quick little sponsored portion by Best Buy talking about today's best deals. The first one is the ASUS ZenBook 14. This is a ultralight laptop that's perfect for back to school. It usually retails for $720, but right now you can pick it up for $670. This thing comes with a Ryzen 5 5500U and it's paired with an NVIDIA MX 450. If you need a two-in-one, there's the Yoga 7i, and this thing is retailing right now for $750. This is down from $950, and that nets you 11th gen Intel processor, an i5, but you get 12 gigabytes of RAM and a 512 gigabyte NVMe SSD. Now, if you're on a super tight budget, I really suggest a Chromebook, and ASUS is also selling the 2-in-1 touchscreen Chromebook with an 11th gen Intel processor and 128 gigabytes of SSD. It used to retail for $569, but right now you can pick it up for $469. And fun fact, this laptop I am reviewing today usually retails for $1,650, but right now you can buy it for $1,500. But don't buy it yet. Watch the full review first before making up your mind. Now, the ASUS Zephyrus G15 Advantage Edition is a cousin to the G15 that everyone talks about. The big deal though is it looks a lot more like a gaming laptop. Like if you take the design of this, you have this red accent on the back, which by the way comes off. You can change it for something a bit more muted. You can either go for a transparent look, or if you want, there's a silver version which adds like a two-tone feel. The top of the lid is made out of metal, but you also get this really unique ROG design on the right-hand side with the Radeon logo. Now, if you open it up, it turns into plastic. Like the deck of the keyboard's plastic, the trim around the display is plastic. It's just a different feel. But it's a very solid, well-built laptop. On the bottom is a little light strip that surrounds the laptop, which is using RGB. So you can customize this to whatever color you like. There's tons of I/O, but what ASUS did was omit them from the right-hand side of the laptop, which is great for right-handers, but annoying for me, who's a left-handed person. But it's fine. There's nothing here so your mouse can live freely. But on the left-hand side, you do get two USB ports, an audio jack, and then if you flip it to the back, that's where most of the ports reside. You do get a USB port, a Type-C port, which can also charge the laptop. So if you forget the big brick in your bag, you can just use Type-C to charge it up. HDMI, which is directly connected to the dedicated GPU, a network jack, and of course, the power connector. I will say this though, the power connector is massive. It's a 280 watt brick. The laptop is about 5.2 pounds, but when you add this into the mix, it increases the overall weight to above 7. Now, because this is using a black finish, you do get a lot of fingerprints, as you can see here, but this is rocking a very, very impressive display. This is a 1080p display. It's IPS. It's 300 hertz, which is, in my opinion, a little bit overkill for any laptop right now, but it has it. And of course, you get that high response time, or really fast response time. And look, this is not like the most color accurate display I use, but it's still good enough that you could do content creation on this and feel very comfortable using it, you know? The only downfall is the brightness is around average. I wouldn't say it's super bright, but it's average for a high refresh rate display like this one. Now, it doesn't have a webcam. Okay, and this is same with the regular G15 that we've talked about before. And if that's gonna bother you, then you have to go out and buy one separately. I know in some regions they do include it in the box, but the one I received did not have one. There is a microphone if you want to talk to yourself or maybe to a friend that is built in, and it sounds like this. We're now listening to the microphone from the ASUS Zephyrus G14 Advantage. There is a air conditioning unit behind me that's going on right now. I'm not sure if you guys can hear it, but it's supposed to support 2-way AI noise cancellation, so let's see if it works. What makes this laptop truly unique compared to the other gaming laptops that I've reviewed recently is you're getting an all AMD laptop. Usually when I talk about an AMD Ryzen processor or a gaming laptop to be specific, it's usually paired with an NVIDIA GPU. This is using all AMD. So not only are you getting a crazy fast Ryzen 9 5900HX unlocked CPU, you're getting 16 gigabytes of RAM and an RX 6800M GPU. You pair this with the 15-inch display, which has overdrive to increase the refresh rate, and of course you have a 512 gigabyte NVMe SSD for a price tag that is very, very reasonable. Now, synthetics show this laptop just doing an amazing job. Like if you put this thing on turbo mode, I was able to get this thing over 13,000, which is amazing. But if you want to be more specific, or if you're an enthusiast, you can use the manual mode on here and you can push this above 14,000. Single core clock speeds are also very good. It's not going to beat out the best Intel processor, but it does very well for these Ryzen 5000 series CPUs. You're obviously buying this laptop mostly for gaming. And yes, there is 1R by 16 RAM inside of here. So if that's going to be an issue for you, it's going to be an issue for you no matter what, because most laptops coming out today are using that type of memory. There's a chip shortage going on, so manufacturers are stuck using this RAM in their laptop. And it does affect an AMD laptop more so than an AMD and NVIDIA GPU, because AMD's always relied or leaned heavily on RAM. And when you're playing specific 1080p games, the performance is going to be less than competing products. But even if you're not gaming and you're focusing on productivity, like you're using Adobe Photoshop, the performance is very good. It's not going to beat out the best AMD and NVIDIA GPU out there in a laptop, but it's going to do well. Adobe Premiere Pro, on the other hand, not so much. You'll still be fine, but it's not at the top. And the reason being is not because I think the hardware is not powerful enough. I just don't think Adobe has done a good job of optimizing their software to work with AMD's. As for heat management, super impressive. In turbo mode, being completely utilized, the CPU and GPU, the heat was easily sustained. You know, I was shocked. 4.2 gigahertz is the average clock speed under load. And if you were to compare that to, let's say, an Intel CPU, that Intel CPU would drop anywhere from 3.6 to 3.2. And the crazy thing is, yes, the fans kick on and it gets a little loud, but it's not nutty. You know, it's not up to 60 decibels, which I've seen on other Acer laptops. This one kind of like tops out at around 55. And even if you don't use turbo mode and you put it on performance mode, it's quieter and you don't lose that much performance. The crazy thing is, if you drop it down to quiet profile, you still get pretty good performance out of it, but you get a super quiet experience. And here's the cool thing about this laptop. One of the things that really impressed me, it's the battery life. I literally got 9 hours and 10 minutes of use before needing to charge. I don't think I've ever seen that on a gaming laptop with this much performance. And to me, that is impressive. So if you're planning on opening up this laptop, just be careful. There's 2 ribbons attached to the back plate, which attach to the motherboard that control the strip of RGB that surrounds the laptop. You do have a massive 90 watt hour battery, which we've talked about, but you do get 2 slots for storage. One is populated with a 512 gigabyte NVMe SSD. Good read speeds, but the write speeds are poor compared to the competition. But at least you have an extra slot if you want to expand to a second drive in the future. You do have a vapor chamber cooling solution, which does a fantastic job of keeping this computer cool. I also love the fact that they drew exactly where the CPU and GPU is. Also, fun fact, they're using liquid metal to cool it. Inside, you have 2 RAM slots, which are upgradable. So unlike the M16, where you only have 1 slot and the other RAM is soldered onto the motherboard, both slots can be upgraded. Not bad. For 2 speakers being on the bottom of this laptop, the sound is actually pretty good. They do get quite loud. The treble is super duper high, and there's a tiny bit of bass. They're not the best speakers I've heard, but overall, they'll definitely overcome the fans that kick on when you're gaming on this thing. So here's the bottom line. This thing is impressive considering its price. For $1,500, you're getting insane battery life. And if you've always wanted a gaming laptop that you could like take to school with, this is gonna do it, because you're gonna get that battery life you need to get through the entire day. And even with the RAM issues, which is standard on all laptops now, this thing is very impressive in terms of performance. I just don't think there's an other laptop out there right now for what you can get at this price. Like a 6800M, which is like a 3070, 3080, and a unlocked Ryzen 9 processor for $1,500 is super duper reasonable. If you're interested in checking this out or any of the deals that I talked about at Best Buy, there'll be links to them in the description down below. If you have any questions, let me know. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video.